have Mikey enter. Would you like to go off on Bob a little bit? Because here we go with packing protons to set you up. $5 says that Park Place reporting that Disney has to pay billions extra for Hulu. That has to be the worst deal ever made. Buying something they didn't need. Yeah, I saw this yesterday. Whatever they want, an arbitrator or something to come in. Is that what's going on, Mike?
Yeah. So what happened is that each side, well, when this beautiful marriage got together, that everything's fine in the beginning with these joint ventures, right? These corporations, it's all smiles and candy, sugar candies and dandelions until things don't go right and they want to break up. It's just like a divorce. This Hulu thing's like a divorce, except someone's got to buy someone out and get what's called a settlement payment. And what happened is that both sides had their own people, and let's not forget that one of the firms, the Morgan Stanley firm, the chairman of that organization is now on the Disney board. And I'm quite sure Bob thought that. Now, this is me speculating, but I'm pretty sure I know how these things work. Bob thought that by bringing on the Morgan Stanley guy as their valuation guy, that he would smooth things over and be able to grease them wheels so that, Disney could write a lesser check than they thought they would have to write. Keeping in mind as a footnote, because Mexican Iron Man doesn't forget anything, despite the fact that he's Mexican. Mexican Iron Man recalls that Bob said, yeah, we're going to write them a check. Remember, 2 earnings calls ago, and prior to the shareholder fight, he said last fall, yeah, we're going to write a check to Hulu. This was in December. That indicated that the settlement price was already done. So further exposing what a lying sack of horse shit Bob Iger is, how did we get from last December or was it November, December, with whatever that earnings call was last fall, that, yeah, we're going to write Hulu a check for our portion. Because at the time when he said that, I was like, where the fuck are you going to get the money? Number one. And number two, for how fucking much? Let alone where's the money going to come from?
Yeah, I was going to say, we all were talking about that. And I remember you specifically and everybody else going, well, we don't even know what the final price is going to be yet.
So why was Bob on a fucking an earnings call saying that we're going to write a check? That's like me saying, hey, Tom, you know all those DVDs back there, which might be worth probably $4 billion? I'm going to just write you a check, knowing that I don't have $4 billion for all those DVDs.
Tell everybody I paid for it and just see how that rolls. Yeah.
Yeah, so now let's fast forward. So number one, I want to note that Bob's a lying sack of horse shit from when he said we're just going to write them a check. Because if we were going to write them a check last November, December, why hasn't that check been written? And how do we know that check hasn't been written? All you Disney shills from John Campea on down, all you Disney shill motherfuckers that apologize for this company.
Wasn't it like 8.4 billion? He said it was.
Whatever he says they're going to write. So now what we know is they have to bring in, they now have not been able to agree on a price. And now they want a third firm to come in because they got with Disney as their guy. Comcast as their guy. And now they want someone else to come in and help out, get to a lower number. Obviously, cash is a problem because what we know in the Fox deal is what? When Bob had an infinite amount of credit cards to spend, he didn't give a flying fuck how much Fox costs. He just paid top dollar to take it off the chessboard of media. That's what Bob did.
Can we just to say one more thing about that? Because I think there's one thing about how bad that Fox deal was that is often being overlooked. He overpaid for Fox.
Yeah.
By billions. By what? He overpaid by what, 20 billion or something like that?
I'd almost say twice as much.
I agree with Tom. And my view is it was double. I think that deal should have gone for 30 to 40 mil at best. That 30 40 billion at best. That's my opinion.
And it gets worse. It gets worse because in so doing, in acquiring that, and remember, it was Comcast, they wanted in on that too. So they actually drove up the price. Comcast made Iger pay much more than he was going to. He was going to overpay to begin with. Yeah. And because of them, he overpaid even more. And I think this was completely unintentional. In acquiring Fox, they also acquired Fox's stake in Hulu.
Yeah.
And now this triggers the clause where they have to buy out Comcast's share in Hulu, which is then what, another minimum 10 billion, could be another 30 billion. All of this because Iger had to buy Fox. Yep. If he didn't buy Fox, none of this would have happened.
And let me just take you back to that a moment, because Mike's right. Like, I think they originally offered, what was it, close to 60 billion or 50 billion? Can't remember what it was. It was already an amount that was way too much.
I thought
It was an amount that Bob thought it was. Yeah, it was an amount that Bob's like, nobody's going to compete with us. But Universal came in, and I don't think Universal even had. I don't even think they wanted. They literally just stop or my mom will shooted them into buying Fox for $70 billion. Is what it was. It was like, watch. Let me see. Let's see how I get this up, guys. Watch. Like. It was like, they were like just goofing around, because even Universal probably knew there's no way that the regulations were going to let them go through to buy Fox. This was a fucking game to them. They knew exactly what they were doing. They did this on purpose. Not only did they make Disney overpay for this, they knew once they were getting into this game with Hulu, because they knew they were doing Peacock. I mean, I'm not saying that they were thinking that far ahead with 4D chess on the Hulu part. The Hulu part is just like an extra fuck you at this point. So like Disney is just not only Universal's not only eating Disney for breakfast, but they're having their lunch and their supper while they're at it at this point with them. At least that's the way I'm seeing it. They're just mopping the floor with them. What's hilarious is when you got to sit there and listen to Bob kiss their ass.
Yep. So anyways, like that I hope that guy feels that Packing Protons feels they got his money worth with that $5 super chat.
But that leads us to the whole big thing with Bob, and I know you've been steaming for a while now with the hashtag dang it, Bob.
Oh, I've been steaming out. Yeah, I'll just highlight a few. Now that I've had time to reflect on it 24 hours later. Andre, first of all, your video was outstanding.
Thank you.
That was outstanding. Who edited that? Was that you and Tom?
That was Tom.
Me, I screwed up the audio in it, but
Tom, Tom, your editing was outstanding. Look, guys, of all the videos you've done, that is, I mean, maybe it's because it's Disney, but look, it's one of my 5 favorite, like, all-time ever. It is on point. Anybody, all 1,000 of you that are watching this live stream need to go watch that video. It came out late last night at some point in the night, and it's a must-watch video. I think you hit the nail on the head. So I will say 4 things about yesterday's call. Number 1, is re-emphasizing that Bob's a lying sack of shit, which I just covered. Number 2 is that it was nice that the investors finally asked some questions, and the clips you cut in your video, Andre, were the ones to clip. Good job, Tom and Andre, on that. They finally were getting some investor questions asking about, hey, what the hell's going on with your licensing? What the hell's going on with your Marvel? We finally got some damn accountability, and you know how I know that those questions hit a sore spot is that Bob, as you accurately did in your interview, was like, he rambled and said nothing except wordsmith salad. There was nothing intelligible that came out of his mouth. The next thing I thought that was fascinating, which you guys covered an hour and a half ago, which has to do with what he didn't talk about. There was no Snow White. There was no this. There was no that. I think Bob is a ship lost at a sea. He is a CEO ship lost at sea without a fucking rudder. And the other thing is that if anything told us that Nelson Peltz needed to be on this board, it was this call. Just every time questions came up, I could feel that Bob was looking around in the room like, who's going to take it? And there's only a couple other people in the room with him. And that was interesting because it wasn't highly produced. I expected something, but the fact that they did this at 8:30 in the morning, which to me baffled the shit out of me because Disney's calls have always been in the afternoon, like forever. The fact that they did this early in the morning is I think Bob thought that he was going to announce his earnings per share that had gone up. Meanwhile, the only reason they had gone up is because they bought back a fuckload of stock. They bought back $1 billion worth of stock. Well, guess what? When there's less stock in the marketplace, your earnings per share in the marketplace go up even if you don't do shit. Even if you have a little bit of earnings, you just take back $1 billion. So it was all bullshit. And I think Wall Street finally read through this. I am hoping and praying that signs like here's an anecdotal one for you. Valiant told me this, which I didn't know about this till yesterday. But Valiant told me that CalPERS, the California Pension Retirement System, not only did they vote against Peltz a month ago, but they sold off almost all of their block of Disney shares. CalPERS is the California Retirement System of pensioners.
Say it one more time. Who sold off the Disney shares?
CalPERS, California Pension Retirement System.
Oh, that's the share. That's the decline in share price right there. That's what I figured. Someone big has sold out their shares. I was wondering who.
CalPERS dumped it. Now, CalPERS, who is in the California retirement pensioner system? For our friends around the globe watching this show, and our friends maybe on the East Coast, well, that's your teachers. That's all your. That there are so many people in the California. That's the state employees, people that are in education in the state. You know, that come through the state. The California pensioners retirement system is state employees, which can be in all kinds of different departments, from education to others. And that's pretty much a woke leftist group of people generally. For them to have voted against Iger and Fort Peltz a month ago, and now to have dumped their shares, that is a major, major development. And I think that if we can just keep our boots on woke, keep our boots on woke throats, continuing on, that we're gonna win this thing. But we got to break this company. And the only thing this company gives a shit about, it doesn't give a shit about shitty Star Wars. It doesn't give a shit about shitty Marvel. It doesn't even give a shit if it loses money on these movies. We've got to break this company. We got to, all of our friends and family have to stop going to theme parks, stop watching Disney Plus, and stop going on these fucking cruises that, and we got to break this brand in half in order to salvage this company brand. We got to literally push them and drive them into bankruptcy, because the only lesson that they will learn is by holding back their money, because commies and leftist people like the ones running Disney, all they care about is a free ride. So long as we give them, we meaning the greater we, give them a free ride, then that's going to enable them to destroy the things we love. And so I'm more hopeful after yesterday's loss of 20+ billion in one day than I've been in a long time. I never thought Nelson would win. I was cheering him on. But the fact that they lost $20 billion worth of value, Wall Street did this to Bob Iger yesterday for the first time. And I joined Wall Street to Bob Iger.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, to me, that was fundamentally different in this earnings call from all the others. He has lost his backing.
Yep.
Or at least, if not lost it, he has gotten a warning at the very least.
Absolutely.
At the very least, he got a warning.
Andre. It's at least a warning.
It's a warning of fix this now before things get really bad, before we have to do something.
Yep.
Because as we spoke about before, they're all about the messaging, but I do believe that there is a price when they're like, okay, now it's too much. And I think we're getting there. Because I think they're very happy to take a short-term loss on Disney as long as it's a functional propaganda outlet.
Yep.
But I don't think it is that anymore, because what has happened is that audiences are rejecting Disney because they're propaganda, which means they're not efficient as a propaganda outlet. Then
basically,
all they do is pump out propaganda that people recognize and reject.
There's no sense in spiking the Kool-Aid when it's already poison.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because no one is going to drink it anyway, because now they see, oh, that's poison, let's stay away from it.
Yep, exactly. So like you got to come up with something different. You got to come up with somewhere else. And look, it's just another outlet. BlackRock will just move on to the next thing. Maybe it'll be anime, maybe it'll be manga. I'm not trying to freak people out,
games.
but
Already
video
happening.
games is already happening there. I mean, well, they've been inundated in that for a while. The problem is at least with video games, and you'll see, as we've seen recently, and I'll stand by it, they know how to fucking fortitude video games. Like that's a group of people that can get together quickly,
fast,
and act fast. Right? And you don't want to fuck around, because they will keep you on your toes. And the beauty of it for them is, unlike the film community, where even though it's still both are slow moving, the video game community is even slower moving when it comes to getting games out. So they have to react, or they're going to be shit out of luck later down the road, to where movies, are more like a faster moving train, and they can't stop them usually once they're on the tracks, right? Like we've use that analogy a million times over when it comes to some of these things. Mm-hmm. That's where reshoots and other things come in. Is like, yeah, they can try to mitigate some of the damage, but that doesn't always mean they're going to fix anything. So, but yeah, no, I think at this point you're right. They're going to find other outlets like video games and who knows what else, but they'll move on eventually. But until then, we're stuck with this shit. And the more these companies are involved with all these other outlets, that's just going to make it worse too. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 AM Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There, you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe, and join us.